It is, it's just wild to think about how completely the concept of a storefront has changed over like the last couple of
Oh,
decades.
absolutely. It's a completely different reality
Well,
now.
right, because it used to be all about foot traffic. You sweep the sidewalk, you put up a nice awning, you flip the sign to open, you just wait for people to walk by.
Yeah, that was the whole strategy. Just
Yeah,
existing in a physical space. Uh,
exactly. But today, that sidewalk is the entire internet, and the people walking by are staring at screens. But what happens when the people building those digital sidewalks start using, highly advanced artificial intelligence to track your every move, while at the same time desperately trying to pretend they're human?
that is, well, it creates one of the most fascinating tensions in modern commerce.
Yeah.
And it's actually the exact tension we're looking at today.
I'm really excited for this one. We are deconstructing the modern digital marketing playbook right
We
now.
are. We're pulling apart the methodology of local management, which is an award-winning agency out of Boca Raton, Florida. And we aren't just here to read their brochure.
No, definitely not.
We want to see exactly how the sausage is made, so to speak.
Because whether you run a boutique bakery, a massive tech startup, or you're just trying to build a personal brand, you are playing on the exact same digital field as everyone else.
Yep, the exact same one. And the stakes on that field are incredibly high right now.
They really are. I mean, the promise these agencies make is intoxicating. They talk about taking a business from local to global.
It's a huge promise.
Right. But before we get into the sophisticated tools or that bizarre AI paradox we mentioned, we really have to look at the core emotional problem they're solving for founders and business owners.
Which is so important to understand first.
Because that problem is absolute paralyzing fear.
Right, because for a lot of business owners, pouring money into the internet feels exactly like, well, throwing cash into a black hole.
Oh, 100%. It's terrifying.
You buy an ad, you cross your fingers, and you just hope it comes back as a customer. But you have zero visibility into the mechanics of how it actually happens.
It's like a magic trick you don't understand.
Exactly. And their methodology addresses this head on. They plant their flag on the idea that digital marketing should never, ever feel like gambling.
Okay, let's unpack this, because that word, gambling, is doing a lot of heavy lifting in their pitch.
It really is.
If traditional marketing, like, say, buying a billboard on the highway or taking out a full-page magazine ad, is basically throwing darts in the dark and hoping you hit a demographic, they are pitching digital marketing as a rigorous, almost clinical scientific method.
Yes, that's exactly the contrast they're drawing.
But, like, how do you actually operationalize that? How do you engineer the luck out of the equation?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, you engineer out the luck by treating marketing like a high-stakes lab experiment.
Okay, I like that analogy.
It starts with a deeply obsessive approach to research. They call it to know is to deliver. Their entire philosophy hinges on the reality that no two businesses are the same, which means templates are inherently toxic.
Oh, wow. Toxic.
Yeah, because if you're using a copy and paste strategy, you are gambling. To eliminate that risk, the first phase is gathering a massive granular amount of data on the business.
And it isn't just about knowing your own audience, right? I mean, it's about mapping the entire ecosystem.
Exactly. You have to map the competitors, the search intent, the behavioral patterns. There is no insignificant data.
So you're building a foundation of absolute certainty before you even spend a dime.
Right. If you know exactly who you're talking to, what their pain points are, and exactly where your competitors are leaving gaps in the market, you aren't guessing anymore. You are calculating.
Which leads right into their strategy phase. They say every business has its path. But rejecting the template is easy to say. Executing a customized, unique narrative for every single business is, frankly, incredibly difficult.
Oh, it's exhausting.
I think a lot of agencies fall back on templates because bespoke storytelling just doesn't scale easily.
It doesn't scale easily, but it is the only way to cut through the noise today. Think about the old approach to marketing as blasting a massive megaphone in a crowded, noisy stadium.
Just yelling at everyone.
Right, you're spending a fortune, you're annoying a lot of people, and you're just hoping your target customer happens to hear you over the ringing in their ears.
That sounds awful.
It is. A data-driven bespoke strategy is the complete opposite. It's about whispering the exact right password to the bouncer at a VIP club.
I love that. It's precision over volume. But a precise strategy is completely useless if a business owner burns out trying to actually pull it off.
Which happens all the time.
Yeah, and that is where the operational reality hits hard. The execution phase, they call it start the show. We see this all the time, right? A founder has a brilliant strategy, they know exactly who their customer is, but keeping up with the daily relentless grind of content creation, ad management, website hosting it, just breaks them.
Because context switching is the silent killer of small businesses.
Oh, absolutely.
You have a CEO trying to run operations, manage payroll, and then suddenly they're supposed to pivot to optimizing a Facebook ad campaign at 2 in the afternoon.
You just can't do it all well.
No, you can't. The execution phase is about recognizing that having professionals at the helm prevents that operational burnout. It ensures the strategy doesn't just sit in a Google Doc, but actually lives and breathes across the digital landscape.
Turning theory into actual lead generation.
Exactly.
And it doesn't stop there. That brings up the most critical mindset shift in this whole methodology, which is the continuous loop of analyzing and adjusting. We keep going, they say.
Because you can never really stop.
Right. You don't just reach the finish line, high five, and pack up. The digital landscape is essentially tectonic plates. It is constantly shifting beneath your feet.
It's a ruthless environment. Google updates its search algorithm, and suddenly your organic traffic is cut in half overnight.
Which is a nightmare scenario.
Or a new social media platform emerges, and consumer attention just fragments entirely. Their methodology explicitly challenges the idea of plateauing.
Because if you plateau, you're basically falling behind.
Exactly. If you just set a strategy on autopilot and leave it, you aren't coasting, you're actively dying. The analyze and adjust phase is a defensive mechanism against obsolescence.
It's about constantly interpreting new data to pivot, adapt, and scale.
Precisely.
Well, let's transition from the methodology into the actual mechanics of how this works. We know the loop research, strategy, execute, adjust, but what is the connective tissue?
The actual tools they're using.
Right. When you look at their toolkit, it isn't just a random menu of services. There's a clear cause and effect relationship between SEO, web design, content, and email.
It is a highly engineered ecosystem. It usually starts with search engine optimization, capturing high-intent traffic.
Meaning people who are actually looking to buy?
Yeah, these are people actively raising their hands, searching for a solution. But driving that traffic is useless if your website looks like it was built in 2004.
Oh man, we've all seen those sites.
Right, so the SEO flows directly into web design and development, creating an intuitive, frictionless user experience.
Right, and that frictionless experience is designed to capture trust, which is where content marketing comes in.
Building that authority.
And once you have their trust, you capture their contact information, feeding them into an email marketing funnel. That way you can nurture them without paying a search engine every single time you want to talk to them.
It's a self-sustaining machine if you build it right. As an advertising agency, they tie all these pieces together.
It is, but looking at this ecosystem, I see a massive blind spot that trips up so many founders today, especially when they read the agency's FAQ section.
That's the blind spot.
It's the conflation of social media with digital marketing. The agency lists platforms like Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, but they explicitly have to clarify in their FAQ, is social media marketing the same as digital marketing?
Yes. That's a huge misconception.
I see businesses pouring their entire operational budget, all their creative energy into going viral on TikTok or Instagram and completely ignoring their actual websites and back-end funnels. Why is there such a massive trap here?
It's the dopamine.
Are the algorithms just tricking founders into thinking that likes and views equal actual sustainable business growth?
It is the trap of renting land versus owning your house. Social media platforms are incredibly seductive because the feedback loop is instantaneous.
You post, you get likes.
Exactly. You post a video, you get 1,000 likes, and your brain releases a hit of dopamine. It feels like growth, but it is rented land. The platform owns the audience, controls the reach, and can change the rules tomorrow.
You are at the absolute mercy of the algorithm.
Entirely. If a business owner thinks that posting on LinkedIn or Instagram is their entire digital strategy, they're trying to build a house using nothing but a hammer.
That is a great way to put it.
They're ignoring the foundation, which is their SEO. They're ignoring the structural support, which is their email list. Social media is just one tactic, one touch point under the massive umbrella of a true digital strategy.
And to measure the success of that true strategy, we have to talk about the metrics. We all know the standard alphabet soup, right? ROI, ROAS, PPC.
Oh, the acronyms.
Yeah. But right now, tracking return on ad spend, ROAS, is basically a dark art.
It really is, especially lately.
Between privacy updates, the death of third-party cookies, and these fragmented attribution windows where, a customer might see an ad on Monday but not buy until Thursday on a completely different device, how does an agency actually deliver on the promise of rigorous tracking without breaking a client's budget?
That is exactly why understanding the nuance between overall ROI, which is return on investment, and highly specific ROAS, return on ad spend, is financial self-defense.
Financial self-defense, I like that.
In a post-cookie world, you can't always rely on a perfectly clean line between one click and one sale. You have to look at blended metrics.
What does that mean in practice?
Well, if your pay-per-click campaigns, your PPC, are operating in a vacuum, you might turn off an ad that looks like it's failing on paper.
Because it didn't generate a direct click to sale.
Right. Without realizing it was actually introducing customers to your brand, who later converted through an organic search.
So if you don't have a holistic view of the data, you end up making knee-jerk emotional decisions that sabotage your own growth.
Precisely. Yeah. You end up right back where we started.
Gambling.
Gambling.
Okay, so we understand the ecosystem, we understand the methodology, and we understand the metrics. But here's where it gets really interesting.
Oh, this is my favorite part.
Because the most fascinating part of this entire playbook is who or what is actually pulling the levers. At the very top of their positioning, they proudly brand themselves as an award-winning AI marketing agency.
Yes, utilizing an AI-driven online marketing platform.
Right. They tout this proprietary AI platform for global reach. But then, just a few paragraphs down, under a section literally titled, "We Make People Happy," they fiercely defend the human element.
It seems like a glaring contradiction at first glance.
In fact, they explicitly list pushy AI-looking stories and auto-generated content under the exact things they vehemently avoid. I mean, you can't have your AI cake and eat it too, right?
You wouldn't think so.
How can you brag about being driven by artificial intelligence while simultaneously warning your clients that AI-generated content is toxic to their brand?
What's fascinating here is that they aren't actually contradicting themselves. They're drawing a highly sophisticated line in the sand.
Okay, draw the line for me.
They're recognizing the exact limitations of modern technology. Think about the sheer volume of data we just talked about. Tracking blended attribution windows, analyzing competitor gaps, adjusting PPC bids in real time across multiple platforms.
It's too much for a person.
Human beings are terrible at that. It requires immense computational power.
So the AI is the calculator. It's the logistics engine.
Exactly. The AI is positioned as the infrastructure. It optimizes the ad spend. It finds the micro audiences. It crunches the behavioral data. AI is brilliant at pattern recognition. But pattern recognition is not emotional resonance.
Explain that distinction, because that seems to be where the magic happens.
An AI can predict which word is statistically most likely to follow the previous word to form a grammatically perfect sentence. It writes to be correct.
Right.
But a human being knows what word feels right. A human writes to connect, to draw emotions from the audience with stories. The agency explicitly walls off the storytelling aspect because they understand that human empathy, nuance, and genuine emotion simply cannot be automated.
That is such a vital distinction. They want the algorithm to locate the customer, but they absolutely need a human being to speak to them so it doesn't sound like a pushy, soulless robot.
It's a tightrope walk.
It feels exactly like using a hyper-advanced military-grade targeting system just to deliver a warm, handwritten letter.
That is the perfect analogy. They're marrying the scale and efficiency of artificial intelligence with the soul and empathy of human connection.
Because consumers can tell the difference now, right?
Oh, absolutely. We've all experienced the uncanny valley of digital marketing. We all know what an AI-generated email looks like. It lacks friction. It lacks the unpredictable cadence of human thought.
It's just a little too perfect.
Yes, and consumers are developing a highly tuned radar for it.
If a consumer senses they're being mass processed by an algorithm, the trust evaporates instantly. And as we established, trust is the entire currency of the internet.
Right, and this delicate balance, AI for scale, human for soul, serves one incredibly specific goal. It isn't about vanity. It's about translating that emotional connection into actual survival and sustainable growth for the business.
Well, let's talk about that because the marketing world is obsessed with vanity metrics, but their philosophy on lead generation is ruthless.
They do not mess around with leads.
They essentially argue that 1,000 new Instagram followers are completely worthless if none of them actually pull out a credit card and buy your product. Every lead matters, they say, but only if it translates to a sale.
It goes back to intentionality. A lot of agencies will run campaigns designed to inflate metrics so they look good on a monthly report.
Look at all these impressions.
Exactly. Look at all this engagement. But if those leads aren't qualified, if they don't align with the actual sales funnel, they're just empty calories.
And they make a really bold, almost aggressive claim to separate themselves from that noise. They state very clearly, you talk, we do.
Good, strong statement.
They position themselves as the antithesis of the agency that just talks in circles and charges a retainer. But hold on, I have to push back on their ultimate goal here.
Okay, let's hear it.
They claim they want accountability at every step and to become a client's forever agency. Now, whenever I hear the word forever in B2B services, my red flags go up immediately.
I don't blame you.
Is this a genuine symbiotic partnership built on long-term value? Or is this just an agency trying to build a walled garden? Are they just integrating so deeply into a client's tech stack that it becomes mathematically and operationally too painful to ever fire them?
That is a very fair and very common fear in the industry. Vendor lock-in is a real strategy that some places use.
It's terrifying for a small business.
But if we look at how local management validates that forever agency claim, it points to a different approach. They build a moat of trust through relentless education.
You mean their stay-in-the-know philosophy?
Exactly. They are actively giving away the map. If you look at the resources they publish, articles like Navigating Local SEO, Common Challenges and How to Overcome Them, they aren't hoarding the secrets.
They're putting it all out there.
They're telling business owners, whether you hire us or not, here's exactly how the game is played, and here are the hurdles you will face.
It's the classic strategy, right? Give away the recipe to sell the meal. But it works because it proves authority. If you're confident enough to show the client exactly how complex the ecosystem is, you aren't trying to trap them in the dark. You're proving that your execution is so good, they simply won't want to leave.
Transparency is the antidote to the fear of the walled garden. By keeping the client educated on algorithm shifts and industry trends, they aren't just a transactional vendor executing tasks.
They become a strategic partner.
Exactly. They become the navigator in a landscape that is constantly trying to disorient the business owner.
We have covered a massive amount of conceptual ground today. We didn't just look at a list of services. We deconstructed the psychology of how businesses survive online today.
It's all to take in.
It is. We started with the terror of the digital black hole and how replacing the gambling mindset with a rigorous data-driven cycle of research and constant adjustment is the only real way to mitigate risk.
And we moved past the alphabet soup of marketing jargon to understand the digital ecosystem, realizing that social media is just rented land.
Right, and that true growth requires a holistic approach to tracking blended data.
Then we dug deep into the modern paradox.
Relying on the immense computational power of AI to target and scale, while fiercely protecting the messy, emotional reality of human storytelling to actually convert a sale.
Which is the tightrope everyone is walking right now.
The entire philosophy is built on stripping away vanity metrics and focusing purely on the intentional generation of revenue backed by radical transparency. I want to remind you, the listener, of a surprisingly profound perspective from this source text.
It's a great quote.
They point out that the entire world is a stage, and that stage is online today.
It's a sobering reminder of the environment we all operate in.
It truly is, because whether you're optimizing a global e-commerce brand, whether you're trying to get local foot traffic into your coffee shop, or honestly, whether you just exist as a consumer scrolling through your phone on a Tuesday night, you are an active participant in this massive digital ecosystem.
You're on the stage.
You are. You are swimming in a sea of algorithmic targeting, blended attribution models, and highly engineered digital storytelling every single day.
Whether you realize it or not.
So, what does this all mean? Well, I want to leave you with a final thought to ponder, building right off that tension between the machine and the human we discussed earlier.
Okay.
As artificial intelligence tools become exponentially more advanced as they get better and better at mimicking human empathy, replicating our unpredictable cadences, and artificially manufacturing the friction of a real conversation, will the ultimate luxury in future marketing simply be the verified proof that a real breathing human being is actually the one speaking to you?
Wow.
When algorithms can fake a handwritten letter perfectly, will the human element become the most expensive and sought-after feature of all?
Now that is a truly fascinating question to consider as the technology evolves.
Something to chew on the next time you see a perfectly targeted, emotionally resonant ad slip into your feed. Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive. We'll see you next time.